Captain Riley Torres stared at the dark screen in front of him, watching nothing happen in the endless black of space. This was his job for the past 8 years. Watch. Listen. Stay hidden. Never make contact. The ship around him hummed quietly as it drifted through the void near the Kepler sector. The silent observer was built for one purpose: to spy on alien civilizations without being seen. Every surface was covered in special materials that made the ship invisible to most sensors. The engines ran so quietly that even Riley sometimes forgot they were moving. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange," said Tom Walsh from his station. Tom was the communications officer, a thin man with sharp eyes who could hear whispers across star systems. He had been doing this job longer than anyone else on the ship. Riley floated over to Tom's station. In zero gravity, walking was more like swimming through air. What kind of strange? Tom pressed a few buttons, and sounds filled the bridge. Alien voices speaking in languages that sounded like music mixed with grinding metal. The translation computer worked hard to make sense of the words. It's coming from multiple sources, Tom said. Lots of different species all talking at once. "Captain, they sound scared." Dr. Elena Ward pushed herself across the bridge to join them. She was the ship's expert on alien life, a woman who had spent 20 years studying creatures' humanity. Had never officially met. Her job was to understand what made aliens tick without ever talking to them directly. Elena said again, Elena said. Tom played the recording once more. Lena's face grew serious as she listened. "Those are distress calls. Multiple species calling for help." Riley felt his stomach tighten. In all his years of watching the galaxy, he had never heard anything like this. The Terran Council's orders were clear: observe but never interfere. Earth had stayed hidden for 300 years. By following this simple rule, the story of why Earth hid was taught to every child in school. In 2387, humanity had first detected alien radio signals. The government had been excited to make contact until they intercepted communications between advanced civilizations. They learned that the galaxy was full of species that destroyed any world they considered weak or primitive. Earth had immediately gone silent, building technology to hide their presence while they learned about their dangerous neighbors. "Captain, you need to hear this," Tom said, his voice tight with worry. He had isolated one signal, and the translation was clearer now. A voice that sounded like wind through broken glass spoke in accented but understandable words. "This is Federation Cruiser Harmony's Light. We are under attack by hegemony forces. Our shields are failing. We have civilians aboard. Please, if anyone can hear this, we need immediate assistance." "Federation?" Riley asked. "I've never heard of them." Alina was already pulling up files on her computer. They're mentioned in some of the older intercepts. A group of peaceful species that work together. I thought they were just rumors." Another voice came through the speakers, this one sounding like metal scraping against stone. "All Federation vessels, this is Admiral Voss. The hegemony has declared total war. They are not taking prisoners. I repeat, they are killing everyone. All colonies in the Outer Rim are to evacuate immediately." Riley's blood went cold. Had heard of the hegemony before? They were the reason Earth stayed hidden. A group of 12 aggressive alien species that conquered everything in their path. Earth's spy networks had been tracking them for decades, always making sure to stay far away from their territory. "Tom, how many ships are we detecting?" Riley asked. Tom worked at his controls for several minutes before answering. "At least 50. Federation vessels scattered across 3 star systems. But Captain, I'm also reading massive hegemony fleets. Hundreds of ships. This isn't a small conflict." Elena studied the data flowing across her screens. "Riley, look at this. Ships have families aboard. Children. They're not military vessels. They're colony ships trying to run away." On the main screen, long-range sensors showed the battle happening dozens of light years away. Tiny dots of light flashed and disappeared as ships died in the darkness. Each flash represented hundreds or thousands of lives ending in an instant. Tom said quietly, "I'm getting reports that the hegemony is destroying entire planets, not conquering them, destroying them." Riley closed his eyes. This was exactly what Earth had feared for 3 centuries. A war between civilizations that could wipe out entire species without thinking twice. And now, it was happening right in front of them. Dr. Ward floated over to Riley. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Riley, they're asking for help. Ow. All of them. Every single transmission is a cry for assistance. Our orders are clear, Alina. We observe. We don't interfere. That's how Earth has survived. But what if the hegemony wins? What if they destroy the Federation completely? How long before they find Earth?" Riley had been thinking the same thing. The hegemony was known for being thorough. They mapped every star system they conquered, looking for resources and potential threats. If they won this war, they would control a huge section of the galaxy. Eventually, their scouts would reach the edges of human space. More voices came through. The speakers, children crying, adults begging for someone to help them escape, ships reporting that their engines were failing. They couldn't outrun the hegemony fleets. Tom looked up from his station with tears in his eyes. "Captain, there's a hospital ship out there. It's full of wounded from a colony that was attacked. Yesterday, the hegemony is hunting it down." Riley stared at the screen showing the distant battle. Every instinct told him to help, but 3 centuries of careful survival told him to stay hidden. Earth's safety depended on remaining invisible. But as he listened to the desperate calls for help echoing through space, Riley began to wonder if safety and survival were the same thing. If the galaxy fell to the hegemony, would Earth really be safe? Or would they just be the last ones to die? The Federation was losing. In just a few hours of monitoring communications, it was clear that the peaceful alliance was no match for the hegemony's war machine. Soon there might be no one left to answer the calls for help. Riley made a decision that would change everything. He turned to Tom and said 4 words that broke 3 centuries of careful policy. "Open a channel to the Federation." The silence on the bridge was heavy after Riley's order. Tom Walsh stared at his captain with wide eyes, his finger hovering over the communication controls. Dr. Alina Ward held her breath, knowing that those 4 words had just changed human history forever. "Sir, are you sure about this?" Tom asked. "Earth Command will court-martial all of us." Riley looked at the screen showing the dying Federation ships scattered across space. Another light had just gone out, taking with it everyone aboard a medical transport. "Open the channel, Tom. That's an order." Tom's hands shook as he worked the controls. The silent observer had never transmitted anything before except emergency signals back to Earth. Now they were about to announce humanity's existence to the galaxy. "Channel open, sir," Tom said quietly. Riley took a deep breath. "Federation vessel Harmony's Light. This is Captain Riley Torres of the Terran ship Silent Observer. We have been monitoring your distress calls. What is your current status?" The response came immediately, filled with surprise and hope. "Terran ship. We have no record of your species in our databases. This is Captain Kresh of the Harmony's Light. We are badly damaged and running on emergency power. The hegemony destroyed our escort ships an hour ago." Lena quickly pulled up the translation programs to analyze the alien speech patterns. Captain Kresh spoke with a voice that reminded her of rocks grinding together. But the words were clear through the computer's translation. "Captain Kresh, we are sending you our coordinates. Can your ship make it to our position?" Riley asked. "We will try. But I must warn you, if the hegemony detects your ship, they will destroy you without question. They kill any species that tries to help us." Riley felt his crew watching him. Every person on the Silent Observer knew what this meant. They were crossing a line that Earth had sworn never to cross. But Riley also knew they couldn't sit and watch innocent people die when they had the power to help. 3 hours later, the damaged Federation cruiser limped into view. The Harmony's Light was twice the size of the Silent Observer, but it looked like it had been through a meat grinder. Huge sections of the hull were missing, and emergency lights flickered where the main power had failed. "Tom, bring us alongside their docking port," Riley ordered. "Lena, I want you to come with me. We're going aboard." "Captain, what if this is a trap?" asked Lieutenant Beck, the ship's security officer. Beck was a careful man who always thought about the worst possible outcomes. "Then we'll deal with it. But those people need help, and we're the only ones here to give it." The airlock connecting the 2 ships hissed as it sealed. Riley and Elena stepped through into the Federation vessel, and immediately they knew they were somewhere completely different from any human ship. The corridors were wider and taller than necessary for humans. It's clearly built for species of different sizes. The walls were covered in symbols that looked like a mixture of art and writing. But what struck them most was the smell, a combination of different atmospheres that reminded them they were breathing air that had been filtered for alien lungs. Captain Gresh met them at the airlock, and both humans stopped in surprise. Gresh looked like a walking mountain of green and brown scales, standing 8 feet tall with 4 arms and eyes that glowed like amber. But when he spoke, his voice carried kindness, despite sounding like grinding stone. "I cannot express how grateful we are for your assistance," Gresh said. "In 200 years of space travel, I have never encountered your species." "Where do you come from?" Riley decided to be honest. "We come from a system called Sol, about 40 light years from here. Our planet is called Earth." "Why have we never detected your civilization? Our long-range sensors map everything within." 100 light years. Elena stepped forward. "Because we didn't want to be detected. We've been hiding from the galaxy for 300 years. Precious." Large eyes widened with understanding. "You knew about the hegemony. You knew what they do. 2 peaceful species." "We learned early that the galaxy was dangerous," Riley said. "We decided to stay hidden until we were strong enough to defend ourselves." Gresh led them through the ship to a large chamber that served as both bridge and meeting room. Other Federation crew members were there, representing 4 different species that Riley had never seen before. One looked like a tall, thin plant with blue leaves. Another resembled a walking crystal formation that sparkled in the light. A third appeared to be made of flowing liquid metal. "These are my officers," Gresh explained. "We represent the Federation, an alliance of 17 species dedicated to peaceful exploration and mutual assistance." The plant-like being stepped forward and spoke in a voice like wind through trees. "I am Science Officer Bloom. We have been monitoring hegemony movements for months. They have declared war on our entire alliance." Riley felt his heart sink. "How many ships do they have?" The crystal being answered with a voice like musical chimes. "Intelligence reports suggest over 3,000 combat vessels across 12 different species. They have been building their fleet for decades." Elena asked the question Riley was afraid to hear, answered, "How many ships does the Federation have?" 400, Gresh said quietly. "Most of them are exploration vessels." "And cargo ships?" "We were never built for war." The liquid metal being flowed closer to the humans. Its voice sounded like water running over stones. "The hegemony strategy is simple. They destroy everything. No prisoners, no negotiations, no mercy. They want to clear out what they call weak species to make room for their own expansion." Riley exchanged glances with Elena. This was exactly what Earth had feared for centuries. A coalition of aggressive species with the power to wipe out entire civilizations. "What do you need from us?" Riley asked. Gresh looked surprised. "You would help us, even though it means revealing your hidden world to the galaxy." "We can't just watch innocent people die," Elena said. "That's not who we are." Science Officer Bloom rustled his leaves in what might have been excitement. "We need military technology. The hegemony has superior weapons and defenses. Our exploration vessels cannot match their warships." Riley thought about the weapons systems hidden in Earth's outer system. Humanity had spent 3 centuries preparing for exactly this kind of threat. They had built defenses that could stop fleets many times larger than their own. "I'll need to contact my superiors," Riley said, "but I think we can help you." As he spoke, alarms began blaring throughout the Federation ship. The crystal being rushed to a control panel, his body flashing with urgent light patterns. "Hegemony scouts have found us," the crystal officer announced. 3 ships approaching fast. Gresh turned to Riley with desperate eyes. "Captain Torres, if you truly want to help the Federation, now would be an excellent time to show us what human ships can do." Riley spoke into his communicator. "Silent observer, this is the captain. Red alert. We have hegemony ships incoming." Tom's voice crackled through the speaker. "Sir, should we run?" Riley looked around at the alien faces watching him with hope and fear. 3 centuries of hiding were about to end in the next few minutes. Negative, Tom. We fight. Riley ran through the corridors of the Federation ship, Alina close behind him. The alarms were so loud he could barely think, and the emergency lights cast strange shadows on the alien walls. They needed to get back to the silent observer before the hegemony ships arrived. How long do we have? Riley shouted to Captain Kresh as they reached the airlock. Maybe 10 minutes, Kresh replied, his forearms working frantically at a control panel. Their ships are fast, and ours is barely moving. Riley and Alina jumped through the airlock back onto their own ship. The familiar hum of human technology felt comforting after the strange sounds of the alien vessel. Riley rushed to the bridge where Tom was already at his station, tracking the incoming enemy ships. Report, Riley ordered. 3 hegemony vessels. Sir, they're bigger than us, but not by much. Problem is their weapons. Our sensors show they're carrying plasma cannons that could cut through our hull like paper. Riley studied the tactical display. The hegemony ships were closing fast, their dark shapes growing larger on the screen. He had trained for this moment his entire career, but he had always imagined fighting to defend Earth, not to protect alien refugees. What about our stealth systems? Riley asked Lieutenant Beck, who had joined them on the bridge, shook his head. Too late, sir. They already know we're here. Stealth only works if they're not looking directly at you. Alina was working at her science station, analyzing the Federation ship's damage reports. Riley, the Harmony's light can't run. Their engines are completely dead. If we leave them here, those people will die. Riley made his decision. Tom, send a message to Earth Command. Tell them we've made contact with a Federation vessel under attack by hegemony forces. Tell them we're engaging, sir. Shouldn't we wait for orders? Tom asked. There's no time. Send the message and then prepare for combat. Tom's fingers flew over his controls, sending the message that would change everything between Earth and the galaxy. Meanwhile, Riley was thinking about the weapons hidden in the silent observer's hull. The ship looked like a simple research vessel, but it carried technology that could surprise anyone who underestimated humanity. Incoming transmission from the lead hegemony ship, Tom announced. Put it on screen, Riley said, the main display, filled with the image of a creature that looked like it had crawled out of humanity's worst nightmares. It had too many teeth, eyes like burning coals, and skin that seemed to move by itself. When it spoke, its voice sounded like metal tearing apart. Unknown vessel, you will surrender immediately or be destroyed. Federation criminals you are. Protecting will be executed for their crimes against the hegemony. Riley stepped forward so the alien could see him clearly. This is Captain Riley Torres, of the Terran vessel's Silent Observer. The Federation ship is under our protection. You will withdraw immediately. The hegemony captain made a sound that might have been laughter. Terran, another weak species that thinks it can challenge the hegemony. We will add your world to our list of planets to cleanse. The transmission ended, and Riley turned to his crew. You heard him? They're not just threatening us, they're threatening Earth. All weapons online. Prepare to engage. The silent observer had been designed to look harmless, while carrying enough firepower to fight a small fleet. Hidden weapon ports opened along the hull, revealing plasma cannons, missile launchers, and something the hegemony had never seen before, human kinetic weapons that fired solid projectiles at incredible speeds. The Federation ship is hailing us, Tom said. Captain Kresh's voice filled the bridge. Captain Torres, our weapons are offline, but our sensors are still working. We can provide you with targeting information. Understood, Captain Kresh. Stay behind us and keep your heads down. The first hegemony ship opened fire, sending bolts of superheated plasma streaking toward the silent observer. Riley watched the energy weapons approach and smiled grimly. Humanity had spent 3 centuries preparing for this exact scenario. Defensive systems online, Beck announced. Deploying countermeasures. The silent observer's hull shimmered as its defensive shields activated, but these weren't the energy shields that most spacefaring species used. Human engineers had developed something different. A combination of electromagnetic fields and physical armor that could absorb and redirect energy attacks. The hegemony plasma bolt struck the human ship and simply disappeared, their energy absorbed and channeled into the silent observer's own weapons systems. "What just happened?" Tom asked, staring at his instruments. Alina was studying the sensor readings with excitement. "Our defensive system worked exactly as designed. We just turned their attack into power for our own weapons." The hegemony ship seemed confused, firing again and again at the human vessel that refused to take damage. Riley could hear Captain Kresh and his crew cheering through the communication link as they watched the impossible sight of a single ship withstanding the combined firepower of 3 hegemony vessels. "Now it's our turn," Riley said. "Tom, target the lead ship's engine section. Fire kinetic rounds." The hegemony had never encountered kinetic weapons in space combat. Most civilizations used energy weapons because they were faster and more precise. But humans had realized that solid projectiles moving at tremendous speeds could punch through any shield or armor, especially if the enemy wasn't expecting them. The silent observer's kinetic cannons fired, launching dense metal slugs at nearly the speed of light. The projectiles struck the lead hegemony ship before its captain even realized he was under attack. The alien vessel's shields, designed to stop energy weapons, offered no protection against physical impacts. The hegemony ship's hull cracked like an eggshell, atmosphere streaming out into space as the vessel spun out of control. Emergency lights flickered across its surface as systems failed throughout the ship. "Direct hit," Beck reported. "Their engine is dead. The ship is drifting." The other 2 hegemony vessels immediately changed their tactics, spreading out to attack the human ship. From different angles, O'Reilly had trained for this too. The silent observer was smaller and faster than the alien warships, able to dart between their attacks while its weapons found their targets. "Alina, what's the status of their weapons?" Riley asked. "I'm detecting energy buildup in their main guns," Alina replied. "But Riley, I'm also seeing something else. Their communication array is still active. They're calling for reinforcements." Riley felt his blood go cold. If more hegemony ships arrived, even the silent observer wouldn't be able to protect the Federation vessel. But as he watched the tactical display, he realized something important. The hegemony ships were fighting like they had never encountered serious resistance before. Their tactics were sloppy, overconfident, and they're not used. 2. Fighting an equal opponent, Riley said. "Tom, send a message to the Federation ship. Tell them to record everything that's happening here. Every weapon we use, every tactic, everything, sir," Tom asked. "If we can show the Federation how to fight these ships, we might just have a chance." To win this war, the battle continued for another 20 minutes, with the silent observer dancing between the hegemony vessels like a fighter facing slow, heavy opponents. One by one, the alien ships fell to human weapons and tactics they had never encountered before. When the last hegemony ship drifted powerless in space, Riley opened a channel to the Federation vessel. "Captain Kresh, are you all right over there? More?" "Then all right, Captain Torres. We are amazed. How did you defeat 3 hegemony ships so easily?" Riley looked around at his crew, all of them still shocked by what they had just accomplished. "We've been preparing for this fight for 300 years, Captain. We just never thought it would happen so far from home." The message from Earth Command arrived 3 days after the battle, and Riley knew before reading it that his career was over. He sat alone in his captain's quarters aboard the Silent Observer, staring at the official seal of the Terran Defense Council on his screen. "Captain Riley Torres, you are hereby relieved of command and ordered to return to Earth immediately for court-martial proceedings. Your unauthorized contact with alien forces has violated the primary isolation protocol and endangered Earth's security. Your ship is declared rogue and will be intercepted if it attempts to enter Sol System." Riley deleted the message and walked to his bridge, where his crew was working with unusual quiet. Everyone knew what the message had contained. They had all chosen to follow their captain into exile from Earth. Tom looked up from his communications station. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from Admiral Voss of the Federation Fleet." Riley had been expecting this call. Over the past 3 days, word of the human victory over hegemony ships had spread through Federation networks. Every surviving ship wanted to know about the mysterious Terran vessel that had done the impossible. Put him through, Tom. The screen filled with the image of an elderly alien who looked like a cross between a bear and a lizard. Admiral Voss had scars across his face that spoke of many battles, and his eyes carried the weight of someone trying to save his entire civilization. Captain Torres, I am Admiral Voss, Supreme Commander of what remains of the Federation fleet. I have reviewed the battle recordings from Captain Kresh's ship. What you accomplished should not have been possible. We got lucky, Admiral, Riley said. The hegemony ships weren't expecting resistance. That was not luck, Captain. That was superior technology and tactics. I have a request to make of you, though I understand you may refuse given your current situation with your own government. Riley exchanged glances with Elena, who had joined him on the bridge. What do you need, Admiral? I need you to teach us how to fight like humans do. The Federation has lost 60 ships in the past week. At this rate, we will be extinct within a month. But if we can learn to use your weapons and tactics, we might have a chance. Riley thought about Earth's response to his actions. His own planet had abandoned him for trying to help innocent people. But the Federation was offering him something Earth had taken away, a purpose. Admiral, I'll need to discuss this with my crew, Riley said. But I think we can help you. After the call ended, Riley gathered his 30-person crew in the ship's main conference room. These were good people who had followed him into exile, and he owed them honesty about what came next. You all heard the message from Earth's command. Riley said, we can't go home, but we have a choice. We can try to find some neutral planet to live on, or we can stay and help the Federation fight this war. Lieutenant Beck, the security officer, was the first to speak. Captain, my family is on Earth. But if the hegemony wins this war, they'll eventually find Earth anyway. I say we fight. Alina nodded. I've been studying the hegemony's expansion patterns. Beck is right. They map everything they conquer. Eventually, they'll discover Earth's location. Our best chance to protect our home is to stop them here. By one, every crew member voted to stay and fight. Riley felt proud of these people who had chosen duty over safety, even when their own government had abandoned them. 2 weeks later, the Silent Observer arrived at Sanctuary Station, a hidden Federation base built inside a massive asteroid. Riley had never seen so many different alien species in one place. The station was a maze of corridors designed for creatures of every size and shape, from tiny flying beings no bigger than birds to massive whale-like creatures that floated in. Pools of liquid. Admiral Voss met them at the docking bay, along with representatives from 12 different Federation species. They all wanted to see the humans who had defeated hegemony ships in single combat. Captain Torres, welcome to Sanctuary Station, Admiral Voss said. This is our last major base. If the hegemony finds us here, the war is over. Riley looked around. At the desperate faces surrounding him, these beings had been running and hiding for months, watching their homes destroyed and their families killed. They needed hope more than they needed weapons. Admiral, before we start training your people, I need to understand something. How does the Federation normally fight wars? A bird-like alien with feathers that changed colors stepped forward. Captain, the Federation has never fought a war like this. We are explorers and scientists, not warriors. Our conflicts are usually resolved through negotiation and compromise. Lena asked the question Riley was thinking. What about your weapons? Your military ships? Admiral Voss looked embarrassed. We have some patrol vessels for keeping peace between planets. But our main defense has always been our alliance with other peaceful species. We thought our numbers would protect us. Riley understood now why the Federation was losing so badly. They were trying to fight a war using exploration ships and police tactics against an enemy that had spent centuries perfecting the art of destruction. Admiral, we need to see your ship designs and weapon systems, Riley said. And I need to know everything about hegemony tactics and technology. For the next month, Riley and his crew worked with Federation engineers and scientists, sharing human military knowledge that had been developed in secret for 3 centuries. The humans showed the aliens how to build kinetic weapons, energy-absorbing, shields, and stealth systems that could hide entire fleets. But more importantly, they taught them how to think like warriors instead of explorers. Human military doctrine was based on the assumption that enemies would be stronger and more numerous. Every tactic was designed to turn those advantages against the enemy. Dr. Alina Ward spent her time studying captured hegemony technology with Federation scientists. What she discovered changed everything. "Riley, you need to see this," Alina said, calling him to her laboratory deep inside the station. I've been analyzing hegemony communication equipment and I found something incredible. It pointed to a complex diagram on her screen. All hegemony ships are connected through quantum communication networks. Every ship in their fleet can talk to every other ship instantly, no matter how far apart they are. That's how they coordinate their attacks so well, Riley said. But here's the important part. The entire network runs on a single frequency. Range. If we could disrupt that frequency, we could blind their entire fleet. Riley stared at the diagram, understanding what Alina had found. You're talking about cutting off communication between thousands of ships scattered across dozens of star systems. Not just cutting off communication, Riley. I'm talking about feeding them false information. If we can hack into their network, we can make their own fleet fight each other. Riley smiled for the first time since leaving Earth. Humanity's gift for paranoid preparation was about to pay off again. While other species built networks for convenience, humans had spent centuries learning how to break into them. Alina, how long would it take to build a device that could do this? With Federation resources, maybe 2 weeks. Riley opened a communication channel to Admiral Voss. "Admiral, I need to speak with you immediately. You may have found a way to win this war." The device Alina had built looked simple enough to fit in Riley's hand, but it held the power to change the course of the entire war. She called it a communication disruptor, though Riley thought Galaxy Changer might be a better name. "Little thing can really control the hegemony fleet?" Admiral Voss asked, studying the small metal box with his large guard hands. Alina nodded, her excitement barely contained. "It works by mimicking their quantum communication frequency. We're connected to their network. We can send false orders to any ship in their fleet." Riley looked at the tactical display showing hegemony forces across 3 star systems. Over 2,000 enemy ships were preparing for a final assault on the remaining Federation worlds. In 2 days, the war would be over, unless something changed. "There's just one problem," Alina continued. "The device has to be used from close range. We need to get within 1 light year of their command ship to access the main network." Admiral Voss made a sound that might have been laughter or despair. "Their command ship is at the center of their largest fleet. 800 vessels surround it. No ship could get close enough to use your device." Riley studied the enemy formations on the screen. The hegemony had learned from their earlier defeats and were being more careful now. But they were still thinking like conquerors, not like people who expected real resistance. "What if we don't try to sneak past them?" Riley asked. "What if we make them come to us?" Tom Walsh, who had been quietly working at his station, looked up with understanding. "You want to use ourselves as bait?" "Exactly. The hegemony wants revenge. For the ships we destroyed, if we show up in the right place, they'll send everything they have to kill us." Alina understood immediately. "And while they're focused on destroying us, I can hack into their network and turn their own fleet against them." Admiral Voss shook his head. "Captain Torres, that plan is suicide. Even with your advanced weapons, you cannot fight 800 ships." Riley smiled grimly. "Admiral, we're not going to fight 800 ships. We're going to make them fight each other." The plan required precise timing and more luck than Riley wanted to think about. The silent observer would enter the Titan Nebula, a massive cloud of gas and dust where sensors didn't work well. The hegemony fleet would follow them in, trying to trap the human ship that had become their most wanted target. Once inside the nebula, Lena would activate her device and begin feeding false orders to the hegemony ships. In the confusion of the gas cloud, where visual identification was nearly impossible, the enemy fleet would begin attacking anything that moved. "The beauty of it is their own paranoia," Alina explained to the Federation officers. "The hegemony doesn't trust anyone, not even their own allies. If we make them think they're being betrayed, They'll start shooting first and asking questions later. 3 days later, the silent observer hung in space at the edge of the Titan Nebula, waiting for the largest enemy fleet in galactic history. To arrive, Riley stood on his bridge, looking at his crew of 30 humans who had chosen exile over abandoning their principles. "Any regrets?" he asked them. Tom answered for everyone. "No, sir. If we die today, at least we die fighting for something that matters." Alina was at her science station, making final adjustments to the communication disruptor. "Riley, I'm detecting the hegemony fleet approaching. 812 ships, just like Admiral Voss said. Dot 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 appeared as a wall of dark shapes against the stars. Riley had never seen so many warships in one place. Each ship was larger than the silent observer, and many carried enough firepower to destroy planets. "Incoming transmission," Tom announced. The screen filled with the image of Warlord Thane himself, the supreme commander of all hegemony forces. He looked like a nightmare made real, claws that could tear through metal and eyes that burned with hatred for everything that wasn't hegemony. "Human vessel, you have caused us considerable embarrassment," Thane said, in a voice like grinding stone. "But your interference ends today. Surrender now, and we will make your death quick." Riley stepped forward so the alien warlord could see him clearly. "Warlord Thane, this is Captain Riley Torres. We have a counteroffer. You can withdraw your fleet now, and we won't destroy it." Thane's laughter sounded like breaking glass. "You destroy my fleet? You are one small ship against 800. Your species must be insane." "Maybe we are," Riley said. "But you'll have to come into the nebula to find out." The transmission ended, and Riley turned to his crew. "All right, everyone. This is it. Tom, take us into the nebula. Lena, as soon as we're inside, start your work." The silent observer dove into the Titan Nebula like a fish swimming into dark water. The gas and dust around them glowed with strange colors, and their sensors immediately began having trouble. Behind them, the massive hegemony fleet followed, eager to corner and destroy the ship that had embarrassed them so many times. "I'm in their network," Elena announced 5 minutes later. "Riley, this is incredible. I can see everything. Every ship, every weapon, every order being passed between them." "Long before they realize what's happening?" Riley asked. "I'm going to start small, make them think some of their ships are acting suspicious. Their own paranoia will do the rest." Alina began her work, sending carefully crafted messages through the hegemony network. She made it seem like ships on the fleet's outer edge were ignoring orders. Then she had some ships report that others were acting strangely. Within minutes, hegemony captains were demanding explanations from each other. The first shots were fired. When Alina made 2 hegemony ships think the other was preparing to attack, in the confusion of the nebula, where sensors gave conflicting readings, both ships opened fire at the same time. "It's working," Tom reported, watching his instruments as chaos spread through the enemy fleet. "They're shooting at each other." What happened next was exactly what Riley had hoped for. The hegemony's culture of suspicion and aggression turned against them. As more ships began firing, Alina fed them information that made each group think the others had betrayed them. Soon, the entire fleet was divided into factions, fighting desperately against each other. "Warlord Thane is trying to regain control," Alina said. "He's broadcasting on all frequencies, ordering them to stop fighting." "Can you block his transmissions?" Riley asked. "Already doing it. As far as his fleet knows, their supreme commander has gone silent." The battle raged for 3 hours, with hegemony ships destroying each other in the confusion of the nebula. Riley watched in amazement as the most powerful fleet in galactic history tore itself apart, guided by the careful manipulation of their own communication network. When the fighting finally stopped, less than 200 hegemony ships remained functional. Most of those were badly damaged and trying to escape the nebula as quickly as possible. Alina looked up from her station with tears in her eyes. Riley, I'm receiving surrender transmissions from 17 different species. The Hegemony Alliance is breaking apart. Riley opened a channel to Admiral Voss, who had been monitoring the battle from a safe distance. Admiral, the nebula is clear. The Hegemony fleet has been destroyed. Captain Torres, what you have accomplished today will be remembered for 1,000 years. You have saved not just the Federation, but every peaceful species in the galaxy. Yes. The silent observer emerged from the nebula. Riley thought about Earth and the government that had declared him a traitor. He had saved his homeworld from a threat they didn't even know was coming, and they would probably never thank him for it. But as he looked around at his crew and thought about the millions of lives they had just saved, need Earth's thanks? Sometimes doing the right thing was its own reward, even if it meant spending the rest of his life among the stars he had helped keep free.